everybody, and welcome to Lorcanarama. Yay, we're here. Can you guys see me?
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Hey, we made it back, people. 3 whole months. 3 whole months we were away. I felt like I was dying inside every week. Well, except for the first week we missed because I needed a break. So, hey, Roo, thanks for joining us tonight, man. Yes.
Hey.
My boy Andrew, thanks for joining us. I am so happy to be back. I went to Ghent, and I was a judge at Ghent, and I just got back yesterday. And so part of my face and what you see from me is jet lag. Okay, I'm still there, and I am seeing stories of others with the travel nightmares and stuff. Getting over there. By the way, for those who don't know it, the folks in Belgium decided that this week would be a good idea to exercise their right to protest, and they had a train strike right when we were all trying to get from Ghent back to Brussels, because the best way back to the airport over there is just to take a train. And I got out early in the morning, one of the first trains out, because I know how those strikes work. They usually, what they do is they'll cut half the trains off, right? They'll still run them, and but they're running them at half, like only half the trains are running, and so you got to get it going early in the morning before things get backed up. And so we made it over, and I made it out. So I'm here, and it was a great DLC. So
Very excited to hear about it.
It's good to see you guys, and I want to make an announcement before we go any further. So this is Sabrina and I's announcement. So over the break, we talked, and as you guys know, Jake joins us quite a bit. He fills in for Sabrina, and when she's not around, and he's helped me out considerably. I've gotten to know Jake quite well through the podcast here, and so we decided that Jake really is one of us, and so Lorcanarama is now a 3-headed monster and not just a 2-headed monster. So now I'm going from 2 to 3. There, let me put my fingers up like that. There we go. Yeah. So welcome aboard, my man. So
thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to be here.
Yep. I'm glad to have you. You know, we talk about when you do a stream with folks, like there has to be some trust, right? Do you trust the person enough, not only to be on the stream, but to be on the stream and say the right things? And you know, when you get on here, yeah, way to go, Roo, the dream team, right? And so, so it's hard to find people that you actually say you can trust, especially when like you're doing something and this is like my baby. It started off as my baby, and then Sabrina joined in as helping me raise the child, you know, and now Jake gets some responsibility in it. So, you know, it takes a community now, and that's what we are. So
best community.
So anyways, welcome aboard, my man. I'm glad to have you here. So
thank you guys.
Go ahead, Sabrina. Do you want to say something? I saw you started to say
excited.
something. Are you? You can hardly contain yourself,
she just
right?
loves me, so.
Yeah, I mean, Jake and I split one brain cell, so now that like both halves of the brain cell will be here, it'll be a little better, you know? Yeah,
okay,
we're both
perfect.
on the podcast at the same time. We can pass the brain cell back and forth.
Okay, I can talk to one whole person now.
There you go.
Yeah.
Finally.
Oh man. Yeah, we so tonight, you know, this is episode 36 of Lorcanarama. And for those of you, I don't want to go into a lot of detail. The hiatus was not planned. At the end of the show, I will talk about it briefly. I don't want it to be at the beginning of the show, but at the end of the show, I'll talk about it briefly, about why we went on hiatus. So if you want to hang around for that, in fact, hang around for it. You get a little personal side of things. But in between when we were on the air last and now, we've had 2 DLCs. We had DLC Richmond, which we didn't get to really talk about.
Well,
because
there's been more than 2.
There's been more than 2. Well, we've had 2 that I've been to. Let's just put it like that.
2 that you have been to, but there was one in Asia. And Melbourne.
Yes, Asia and Melbourne, correct. We've had many DLCs. Okay, now my European colleagues, I have to say this. Let me just say this about Ghent and the European community. They were wonderful. That's why I'm so excited, right? Because like I went over there and I knew it was going to be wonderful. In fact, I remember when Bologna happened, and I kind of told Dan Arnold, just sent him a message, said, "Man, take the time to really enjoy that community, because it's different. It's a different way of looking at life, a different way of doing things, and it's so multicultural." And I even explained it over here, like over here in America, like while we have just as many people, we're all pretty much, other than the nuances that we get from the regions in the country, we all are really of the same culture for the most part. And I would say that folks in New Orleans may argue that, and I would give them that right because there is as different as a culture, not in a bad way, as anybody in the country. And so, to my folks in New Orleans, I'll be there this weekend. I love you guys. So anyways, you go to Europe, and in the same area, geographic region that you have the United States in, you've got like over 30 countries with their own unique culture. Some of them, most of them, with their own unique language. And so it's so different. It's a true melting pot of cultures and true melting pot of just different languages and people and viewpoints. And it was just amazing to experience that. I've been to Europe before, but I to just be able to experience that firsthand again I loved it. And so to my European colleagues, which I've told them this already, it was a pleasure to work with them, and their hospitality was unmatched. So I will say that. And Fanfinity, you guys are all right, man. I have nothing but good things to say about Fanfinity. There's always constructive criticism that can be offered for things, but as far as an organization that ran the event and brought us on as judges, they were first class. So I would say that.
Yeah. Good to hear. Having been to Bologna, I thought that they put on a good event.
Yep.
There were no gaping issues with the way that it was organized or anything like that. I do think that they are at least on par with what we have over here, but probably above what we have.
Yeah, maybe probably above.
From a logistics standpoint, and by logistics, I mean everything that it comes with running a DLC, from everything that I saw, and in my experience, it was the most well-run DLC of all of them I have been to.
Well, this one was even bigger, right? You haven't been to any of the ones that were 4K, were you?
No, I don't think so.
Because this was basically it
was 4,000
DLCs in one.
It was over 4,000 people, right? And so people were like, "Well, it was only 2,000 on Friday, 2,000 on Saturday. How many do you think were there on Sunday?"
Right.
So, it was pretty huge. So, it was neat. I like that. I like how they split it up and did that format though, like half on Friday, half on Saturday. And then it was like 2 DLCs. Like you said, it was pretty cool.
They did one like that last season too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I recall that.
But it was also European.
Mm-hmm. And
I wish that was something we adapted over here, because I think not all of the spaces that we've done them in could handle it. Like Toronto could not have.
Right.
But there was plenty of room in Vegas to be able to have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see in chat, hey, Deadpan, Deadpan writes, hoping this means that more 4,000 player DLCs in the future. Let me say this, right? While you had 2,000 playing on Friday, 2,000 playing on Saturday, you still had to have a venue that could accommodate your maximum amount of people, right? Just because you split them up doesn't mean that that's how many people were there that day, because you had your 2,000 playing, and then you still had side events going. And then you still had the people who played on Saturday showing up just to watch. And, so the thing that's always been cited why we don't have more in higher capacity in the States, as I've seen, is the capacity of the venues can't handle it. Okay, I hear that. But as Sabrina has said, I've been to venues that I've looked at and they could handle it. And So I don't know from going this point forward. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. I'm not the TO. I'm not the one that secures the venue. And I'm just saying that there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about, that we're just not privy to that information on. And it's easy to armchair quarterback that, and so I just know that it's not as simple as why don't we split into a day one, day two. You still have to accommodate that huge amount of people.
There's a lot of logistics.
Right.
I will say on that topic, one thing I'm happy about is that we haven't had any of those 1,000-player DLCs like we had in season 1, because that was
I think it would have been impossible to get in that one then.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the only DLC that I got into without a problem
was that one
in season 1 was the one that was capped at 1,000.
Was that Toronto?
No, I lied. Vegas was the only one I got into without a problem.
Was that
Toronto?
capped?
I got into. They all capped.
Well, I mean, was it capped at 1,000?
No, Vegas was 2,000.
Oh, okay. I thought
Toronto was capped at 1,000 because it was in like a hotel basement.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
dude. Hey, Toronto. That's my first one. That's very near and dear to me. So, and as it is to Sabrina too, for reasons that we've talked about on the podcast already.
Toronto means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I've talked to a lot of people about different DLCs season 1 and which one was their favorite, and a lot of people really like Toronto. I know, for Dan and Kylie, because Kylie went to that one. That was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I talked to John Patterson, who's a fellow judge, and most people might know him. They see him walking around. He's been everywhere. Dude's like a wealth of knowledge and experience and information on the tournament scene. And we roomed together in Ghent, and then we had this conversation, and we were talking about favorite DLCs. And of course, he's been to so many, they just get mixed together. And I told him, for me, there's like Toronto's up here, like in a world of its own. Toronto's like the Beatles. The Beatles to me are like that in music. They just there's the Beatles, and then there's everybody else. And there's Toronto, and then there's everybody else. And it's not a knock on anybody else. It's just that I'm going to say Toronto has such a special place. I set it aside. I don't compare anything to it. And the rest of them can be relative to each other, And so, it's that's how I am with it.
I think Toronto and Atlanta were both special to me in very different ways.
Yeah. Atlanta was the first one. Right? So, yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta was the first one. But for me, things that happened in Atlanta directly led me to Toronto. Toby top 32ing in Atlanta let us continue going to all the DLCs. Like that was a big motivating factor.
Mm-hmm.
And then the group that we traveled with in Atlanta, or like connected with in Atlanta, is who we traveled with to Toronto. So like there were a lot of things between those two.
Like a part 2.
Yeah. So those were definitely like a league of their own. And then obviously Bologna was like a whole other wonderful experience that doesn't compare, just because it was so different.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ghent a little bit more. I have some pictures that I brought back. If you guys, hey, this is Uncle Kelsey's story time right now. I get to share my slideshows, and I know how slideshows are. Nobody ever wants to see anybody else's pictures. They're like, nice, right? Okay. But I have stories for them, so that's not the one we want to see. Hold on. Ooh, I got too far ahead of myself. All right. First of all, the sign outside was the best sign out of all of them. And it has to do with the Expo Center. And the photo doesn't do this justice, but you walk up, you have this huge sign above the door. Welcome everybody there. And this is the picture of one side of the room. You can see how many people were in there. And then I turned from the same position that I'm in and took a picture of the other side of the room.
Wow.
And there was a lot of people.
That's
there.
A lot of people.
There's a lot of people.
They got some nice Lorcana tablecloths there, though.
Dude, like this setup was so amazing. Like the tablecloths. Wait a minute, I gotta show you this one, right? The prize wall was so freaking cool. It was like this whole thing has a wall going around it and it had a little archway to go into it. And behind it, you can't see it, but behind it, there's like secret doors in here where they're keeping all the product and everything. And there's a little staged area behind it. it would like, I went and walked around the prize area. Now, this is folks who are looking at this, who are there might like, how'd you get that picture of the prize wall? Well, hardly no people in there, because by Sunday, that line for the prize wall was out. It was so far
crazy.
back.
I
It felt
bet.
so bad, but they process stuff fast, man. They were cooking, man. So yeah, prize wall was pretty cool. And then there's always the people there, right? So, this was Ellen from Southampton, and
that's
her
so cool.
dress
It's so
was
cool.
made up of like wrappers and cards and stuff. I just thought that was so cool. I was like, I had to get a picture of that. If you were there, you probably saw, not this one there. I got one more. I left the picture out. Oh man, I left Ray out. Ray, I'm sorry. Oh man. So I'm going to have to fix this on the fly. All right. So there was a guy there dressed up in red, looked like Captain Hook. He's pretty cool. His name was Ray from Switzerland. But here, I got to tell you guys this story, right? This is Florian. Florian, I hope you're listening, man. So this to me, I have stories from DLCs and stuff, but this is probably going to be one of the most memorable experiences, stories that I'll have for being there. So, anyways, I on my break, I decided, like I do at all DLCs, I go and play Pack Rush just because I just like to meet people, and usually I give my cards away and keep the tickets, if I'm trying to grind anything. But this time I wasn't really going after tickets; I was just going to play, and so they did Pack Rush differently, slightly, in that instead of me playing against one person, you got seated in a pot of 4. And you play the first person, and then when that game was over, you'd play the second. So everybody would play everybody. And this is great. I think this is wonderful and beautiful because it stops the grinding, right? The people just sitting down, okay, hey, we open our packs. Great. We played. Let's get up and go get in line again. That's not the experience that I know that they're trying to create with Pack Rush. They really want people to sit down and play Lorcana, not to grind tickets. Now, those who grind tickets may be a little ticked off about it, but this is the right thing to do, I feel, right? If you really want to let Pack Rush be what it is, it'd be a quick way to play Lorcana, get some tickets, and then you go back and get in the line again. You get to play 3 games. You'll get 3, tickets for each win, or whatever, and you can go get back in line. So I sat down with Lorian and Julie and one more person who I can't remember her name, and I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. And when I mulliganed, when I was sorry, I didn't use that word. Forget I said that word. When I took my 5 cards, by the way, my only knock on this whole tournament was that we did Pack Rush with Shimmering Skies packs. And I don't know. It's not my call. I just know that when I sat down and they handed me those packs, I was disappointed. But I played anyways.
As you should be.
Yeah, I played anyways. And so I look at my opening hand. I had Mother Gothel, the 6 drop that makes a person, you have to return a character to their hand. And I had Big Clarabelle. Yes, I got a Big Clarabelle. And I was all excited. I was like, ooh, so I sit those cards back so I could draw them later, Took my 2 cards, shuffled, offered my deck to cut, pulled it back, and I'm playing Lorian here. And we get through the game, and I'm inking everything because I want to have 7 ink for when I top deck that Clarabelle, right? And I look, and Lorian on his turn 6 plays Mother Gothel, and I go, oh, he got Mother Gothel too. That's kind of cool, There's a chance of that happening. And then on his next play, he dropped a Big Clarabelle, and I go, oh, he got a Big Clarabelle too. Wait a minute. And I thought, I bet I grabbed his deck when I reached out to grab our decks after we cut. And so I told him, I said, I think you got my deck. I think I messed up, And he goes, oh, really? And then we looked at it, we compared afterwards, and he had 5 rares in his set of cards, and I had 3. And so it was basically he kept a rare when he altered. And so it was a good laugh. I thought it was pretty cool, pretty funny. He did beat me with those cards naturally. And then I played the next game and I won. And then I had to go. I gave Lorian my cards and he offered to give me the Clarabelle back. I go, no, it's fine. I just think it's funny. I'm not complaining. I just think it's funny that it happened, because I knew I had those cards because they were in my alternate hand. So we talked a little bit afterwards. I found out he was from the city of Nantes, which I am very familiar with in France because it is my favorite place on earth. For anybody who knows me, is this little town, a little island off the west coast of France called Noirmoutier. It is about an hour and a half from hour and 15 minutes from Nantes. And if I play Lorcana, I have to go to Nantes and play if I want to play when I go over there. And so I found out that Lorient is he's in charge. He's kind of the leader of the group, Lorcana group there in Nantes. I found this out after the fact of what I'm about to tell you, but I told him, I sent him a message. I said, hey, come find me tomorrow. I have something for you. So I had taken my Epcot promos with me, and they can't get Epcot promos over there unless they pay a pretty penny for them. The vendors were selling them over there for upwards of $50 a piece. Which we can get them off TCG Player now for anywhere from $5 to $10. And so I gave him one, and he was so excited, and he posted it in their group and everything. And then that's when I found out he was from Nantes. I was like, "You're from Nantes?" And we got to talking. I told him about Noirmoutier, and I said, "Find me tomorrow, and I have something else for you then." And so I brought him back the next day. I brought him one of each promo to give to use in that play group in Nantes, so that they can give out in tournaments there, do whatever. Because
Very
if I go back to Noirmoutier, I want that group in Nantes to still be thriving because I want to play there. And so they were so kind and courteous. They were just wonderful to play against and to interact with, which shouldn't shock anybody. But it was just a neat experience because it's a small world. Like the place that he's from is kind of near and dear to me, and it was neat to find out. And so I got to invest in somewhere that I would go back to. But to finish the story off, on Sunday, as I was walking back past the prize line, Julie jumped out of line and said, "Hey," and she said, "My friend left, and he wanted to say goodbye, and but she wanted to introduce me to somebody else." And so it was another person from their play group. And he goes, "Oh, you're the famous Lorcana judge." And I'm famous, because that evident word is spread back through their group. They had passed the word around, look what we're bringing back, and so it was pretty neat. It was just fun to do that. I gave away 3 Elsa pins to parents who were walking around with daughters, because, I'm like, I have a daughter, and people that I found out they were trying to grind tickets for Elsa pins. I was like, well, here, I gave them Elsa pins because I've collected them from the DLCs. I've also, other judges have, I've gotten them off of other judges who didn't want theirs just so I can give out. And so that was fun to do as well too. So pretty neat. I enjoyed that. So there, I went a long ways with that. There you go. So
something I want to touch on that's like kind of unrelated, but the Epcot promos you mentioned, do you think they'll ever do Disneyland Paris promos?
I hope so.
Thinking they could. I think
they've done Disneyland, right? Disneyland was first.
Yeah, they had the Belle and the Beast one, I think.
And you got Tokyo and Shanghai as well that you could do promos at at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I was just in Europe while we're like, we're talking about Ghent, so my brain goes Paris.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I wonder. I feel like those would retain their value a lot differently.
I would encourage Ravensburger to do it. Promos are great, and even if I can't get them, it's exciting that folks can get them. And it's like people. People play this game because it's fun, but don't get me wrong, they play it for the promos too. So I mean,
it's got the collecting side as well too. Even seeing it at Epcot when we went there,
you create excitement for this game for promos, and you create a lack of it. You create a bunch of frustration when you choose bad promos. So it's a tough gig, right? So
and I think that's part of what they nailed with the Epcot promos. With this, they were good promos.
Yeah, especially the way they did the edges on them and stuff. That was pretty neat. So. I think they're doing really well stepping up their the promo game, especially with the different borders. Like even with the stuff we get now for our league play, how they have the little gold borders at the bottom and stuff like that. I think it's pretty good. It's they're showing that they're hearing folks they're like, oh, this promo is no different than the regular promos, the regular cards, and then it's got a little symbol on the bottom, and it's like, yeah, I mean they heard us, they heard folks, and so.
They're changing.
It's funny because I think they're hitting the promo situation well, but I think there's a very similar type of situation where they're very missing the mark.
And
Very
what would
much
that
so
be?
missing the mark.
The mats?
The set champs.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. I hear you.
I think the normal looking
go ahead.
promos look better. They've looked better in the past couple sets.
I don't know if I even think it's an aesthetic problem, but like if you opened a Daisy Duck last set, it felt bad.
Well,
because all you had to do was go to a set champ and you were going to get a better one.
I've seen arguments that say, let's go back to just the top 4 getting a promo and a second place match.
I like top 8 promo, but I do think the second place match should come back.
Yeah.
I think it feels bad to make a top 8 cut, win 2 rounds, get to the finals, and you win.
And you still,
nothing.
Yeah. I think you limit. I think you have the same promo to the top 8. By the way, folks, I don't know if you guys can hear the beeping that's happening with my computer. I apologize for that. I know Jake and Sabrina can't hear it, but it's the way we stream.
I keep forgetting.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Rue. Yeah, I knew you could hear. I got something going on with my USB port, and I know that if I start unplugging stuff, it's going to jack everything on the screen up, and I'm not willing to do that right now. so we just had to deal with it. The glimmer foil promos. Yeah, the glimmer foils are nice.
Those are cool.
So the way I feel about the promos with set champs is like, I think number one, the participation card, good. That's good. I like that. Everybody gets something for showing up. That's awesome. The top 8 foil, great. I like that. I think if you go to top 8, I think everybody beyond that should get something. We got the championship playmat. Maybe we have a runner-up playmat. But what do you do for 4th place? What do you do for 3 and 4, right? Because that's another stage where it can feel bad just to hang around for the extra round and lose. It's like you should get something for winning each step of the way. I don't know what that is. Maybe the pins. Maybe that's when the pins come back.
Is where it can kind of fall on the store. Like if top 8 gets a special promo, then
maybe just prize.
I have no faith. I have no faith in some of the LGSs running Lorcana. I'm sorry. I love the Lorcana community, but stores are there to make money. Very few. Thankfully, we have some in our area. I will not talk bad about them.
We do have some good ones.
Great stores in our area. We're very fortunate. But there are some places that run these set champs that I will not trust them to what's the word I want to use to basically add to the prize stuff any more than what's already there. No. Do not put the onus on the stores. It won't happen because then there will be I think that you want something from Ravensburger. And I would say, like, everybody liked the pins. Just bring the pins back. Give out 4 pins to the set champs. That way you don't have to produce
Why not have a set champ pin?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Would be cool.
So,
a specific one just for that.
Yeah,
like
that would actually be cool.
But
it
costs a lot to make them.
I think they would end up being worth more than the mat.
Probably.
To each their own. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like
that's all right.
It keeps some value.
We'll give a pin out to the winner and a mat to everybody else. Then whichever one's cheapest to make is the one you give the most of, right?
I'm throwing the game so I can get the pin.
Yeah, right.
Jake's like, I lose.
Well, no, everybody in the top 4 would get a pin, and then
that's cool.
And then if you
smaller little,
if you win,
so you top 8 with the card, top 4 with the pin, top 2 with the mat, and the winner.
You want to get a runner up in a championship mat. There you go.
Yeah.
That's just what I think, but I'm being greedy.
We solved it. Hey, Ravensburger, we figured it out for you.
I'm gonna tell you don't lick a gift horse in the mouth, right?
Bring us on board.
I tell people, like, be thankful you're getting what you're getting. So
I do agree.
This is
I'm
a
just
matter
happy that my game is doing well and people are liking it and it's growing.
It's pretty cool.
That's the best part.
So back to Ghent, right? We titled the name of our episode "A Dog Eats Dog World," and we had Zayed, of course, win. With the dogs deck. Now, if you saw anything this weekend, here, I'm going to pull this up right now. This is inkdex.com, right? So we're going here. So Zan was in the Friday bracket. So you can see the top 8 in here. Oh, come on, verify me. There we go. This top 8 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs decks and 3 blurple decks. So that's a lot, right? And then you go to the other one, and I'm gonna pull that up. And let me, if I get the right one, if I can see, my screen is so far away from me, I can't see anything. Hold on. Oh, hold on. I guess because I gotta go back one more screen. That's why. There we go. So here's Saturday. Saturday, the top 8 had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks, 5 dog decks in the top 8. 1 green blue deck, 1 amber steel deck, which by the way won CCS Houston. Shout out to Skylar on that. And a purple steel deck, right? So
make amber steel playable, please.
It is. Go watch CCS Houston. So yeah, 10 out of 16, 10 out of the top 16 decks from these two were amber, were dogs deck, and 4 blurple decks, and then is my math right? 3 blurple decks, and then 1 purple steel. Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, Deadpan. I figured you'd like that. So yeah. So oh, did you go to CCS in Houston, Deadpan? I hope so. Maybe somebody local went there. So yeah. Anyways, people are yelling, ban. We got to ban stuff now. It's too much. And I have a take on that, but I want to get you guys' thoughts. So folks are saying we should ban Grandmother Willow, ban Tramp, ban something, you know.
I don't think Willow is the problem.
I don't think Willow either.
And what's the problem?
Maybe a hot take is
Tramp
that
is the problem.
we don't have one ban. I think we need to ban like 2 or 3 things to be able to stabilize like a couple decks, because I think if we ban one thing, another deck will just 100% take over.
See, I don't necessarily. I agree with the first half of your statement, but I don't know that I agree with the second half of your statement. I think dogs can take a hit and still be the best deck.
I think if dogs takes a hit, then Blurple. I mean, there's still Blurple.
I don't even think Blurple is the next deck. I think it's Purple Steel.
So I have a take on this, right? I don't think we should ban anything, and here's my reason why.
I don't think that's a bad take.
Here's my reason why. I have thought about this, right? People want to ban. Okay, what has happened with Lorcana is people have got their lines and they're greedy and they got their good cards and they don't want to have to put stuff in their deck to deal with other stuff. They just want to do what they want to do when they want to do it. Everybody wants to do that. Nothing wrong with that, right? That's Blurple says, I'm going to ignore what you do on turns 1 and 2 because I want to get to my game, right? The dog says, I'm going to ignore what you're doing until I can get my under to C, you know, and able to play it, and then I'll go from there. And there's so many decks that just, they don't really interact with the opponent so much. Yes, there is board control, part of that, right? And so how many times have you said, I don't play this card because it ups the uninkable count, right? Well, you can worry about your uninkable count while you're sitting in the loser bracket because you didn't want to play Fire to Cannons to get rid of a Grandmother Willow. You know, you have cards out there that can take care. Steel has Fire to Cannons. Blurple or Purple can play something to exert Grandmother Willow. And why? Let's admit, let's look at it like this. I think that the card that really put Dog's Order deck was Grandmother Willow because it enables Tramp to be played earlier, right? And it just sits back, right? We had another 2-drop that just sat back and caused problems, and people cry for ban on that, but because it had Ward, and that was Bucky, right? And so, but it had Ward, and you couldn't interact with it. You can interact with Grandmother Willow. It's just that people don't have the cards in their deck to do it because, well, they want to do their own thing. Yeah, they want to do their own thing. And so I'm saying, take that space in your room for deck building, allocate some cards to deal with the problem and deal with it. Otherwise, shut up about banning anything and take your loss. You know, it's just the way I look at it. It's like,
I would agree.
It's like there is stuff out there to deal with it.
So deal with someone. Go to Ghent, like trying to beat dogs instead of playing their deck specifically.
Yeah, there we go. See, Andrew said it perfectly. Look at chat. I tech against dogs, but when they they see that I have teched against them, they insta scoop. Why? Because they're not there to play against you. They're there to set their board up and then quest in 2 or 3 turns and win.
Yep.
I'm
and then
not saying
win. And
that
if
doesn't mean the
you
deck is easy
stop
to
them,
play, but I'm not
those-
saying that at all, right? But that's right.
True.
That's how I felt
There's
about
someone in
Diablo
our
last season.
play group that has a very similar take, which is basically that like TCGs were built in this TCGs as a whole,
Mm.
and on the off chance that you listen to this, Link, I'm sorry, so I'm going to paraphrase badly, but essentially, he's an old school player of the game that we shall not mention, and as he pointed out, like when there's something that's overpowered, or becomes the wide played deck, then you as a player have to tech against it. And like I think that that is just the way of a meta.
Yeah,
Something gets
you adapt.
overpowered and then you have to adapt.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I stand on a ban for this.
I don't want to hear people say, I'm sorry, Sabrina. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I just don't I don't think that Willow is the problem. And my other
No.
the second half of that thought is, if Willow is the problem, then the R&D team isn't doing their job.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I mean, it's the card that has made the deck as powerful as it is. It is the card that I feel has pushed it over the top. It's also the card that has brought Amber Steel back on the map too, because they're playing 4 copies of it as well. And
It's
so
also made yellow purple a very
Yellow
strong
Exactly.
tool.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot.
it is a powerful card. Don't get me wrong, that enables many archetypes. That card does not really need to be banned. People just need to prepare for it. And that's the problem. The people that are fussing and claiming, I feel like the folks that are complaining, they're complaining because they're going to have to alter their lines. They're going to have to alter their deck building methodology to now include cards they wouldn't normally include in order to deal with. Remember when people griped about having to play Little Sisu because to deal with the Diablo? Well, why? Well, they're like, this card doesn't gain me anything. If it got Diablo off the board, it gained you a lot,
Yep.
And so there are cards that are they're not supposed to gain you anything. They're there to help you deal with stuff. They have made cards to help us deal with problematic cards, and it's just that folks aren't including them in the deck. So don't ban the crap. Just don't complain.
I like what
Just play around it.
Deadpan said in the chat. Banning Willow punishes every Amber deck when
Yes.
Dogs is the only Amber deck until this week
100%.
Yeah,
that is
great.
won consistently.
You do
this
not
season.
want
Exactly.
Amber was already
Yeah,
like
leave it
not
alone.
as played. So if you want to have some
Right.
sort of comeback from Amber, you're going to keep that, but we're going to have to.
If you
I
want
don't know.
to,
Yeah, not
go ahead, Jake.
if you. I was just wondering, like, what deck do you think if you were to go to Ghent, what would you bring to tech specifically against Dogs?
Another Dogs deck. So
I think that there was a version like I heard that the one with the Rockstar Stitch is actually pretty good into the aggro, where you're able
Yeah.
to put more stuff down.
yeah, and there's ways to beat it. It's just that people like the main decks that were there. Blurple is gonna, I might run me a couple like spooky sites, but then they have Mowgli to take it away, right? And so, they go, well, they'll wait till I get to the point that I can play it, and then they play their Mowgli and I can't win. You have to have more ways to deal with the card than just one card in your hand, to deal with the deck than one card in your hand. Like, there's so many ways to deal with that deck. If you're playing green, you can have Lewis and give things reckless to make them turn sideways so you can run into them and get their characters off the board. Yeah, I mean, there's that. There's Steel can play Fire the Cannons and other things, right? You can exert them with purple decks and then run a Rafiki into them. They're like, oh, I don't want to play that card. Again, if you want to win, you'll start playing with some of those cards. Otherwise, don't complain. Yeah. Stuff is there to beat it. It's just that people don't want to play with that stuff.
I also think that brings us to like deck building versus playing.
Yeah.
Which has been something that I know I have touched on this before when we specifically going into Worlds last year. when I was very vocal about the fact that I thought the format for Worlds lended itself to be not just about playing, but also about deck building.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that as a whole, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm not out here deck building. I wait till somebody else solves it. And then
Yeah.
I play it. And then I'm like, I don't like this. Let me change these 2 or 3 cards. But I think the problem is nobody, like, well, I think that players like Zan is obviously one of the best players. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to play dogs better than the average player. He doesn't care if the room is full of dogs. He is a better player than 95% of them. Sorry, not sorry. So he doesn't really have an incentive necessarily to build what beats it if he can just beat them all with it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game probably more than any other that I've played, and I've played several games. That's the exception may be Star Wars Destiny. You know, net decking is a real thing in this. Folks just they get a deck, and that's mainly we are kind of restricted in a way because you can only build decks with 2 colors in them, and we only have, what is it? I don't know the exact number. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9, 12, 3, 15 color combinations. So, is what we have. So
I would love to have just been inside your brain for a minute while you did that because to me, all you did was say a lot of numbers. I know you were doing math. I was trying to figure out the image
nah,
that was in your
I
brain.
was running the factorials in my head. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's like we only have 15 color combinations, right? But you get, other games that have succeeded, and that restriction is not there. There are many different color archetypes. I'm not saying change it. I'm just stating that's one reason why you see folks, because usually in each color combination there is a prominent deck archetype that fits that color combination that is best for that strategy in those colors, and then therefore you gravitate to
becoming
that.
a little bit less though. I think we're branching out. Like even now,
Yeah,
there's multiple different dogs builds that
right.
Yeah.
fit into different.
But it's still the same
archetypes.
archetype. It's still dogs, right? It's just a different take on dogs.
Is it, or is the archetype aggro versus mid range versus?
I think they
What are
just
we
all
deeming
turned
the
into
archetype?
they just fit into both actually. All the
Yeah.
dogs decks.
Dogs is just the problem. Got it.
It's just,
Okay.
yeah.
We're not gonna ban
It's
anything.
Well, I
not
guess
a
it,
problem.
that's
It's a
compared
problem.
to
It's not a
like green
problem.
purple. They have many more
It's
archetypes. I
their
feel.
time. It's
No,
their time
green
right
purple
now.
has aggro. Stop, Jake.
Dogs is the new green steel, right? So
Yeah.
from the Diablo days.
Well, we know what happened to green steel though. They banned it. Well, they didn't ban it. Sorry, they made it
The one card.
unplayable.
No, it still did well even after they did what they did to the little squirrel.
Yeah, they just
But
nerfed it so hard you couldn't play it.
you just couldn't play the little squirrel
They-
anymore.
Right.
Mhm.
Diablo was still great though.
Yeah, it was. So,
Yeah.
go back to this real quick. So a couple other things that they announced this weekend. They gave more details out at the DLC about the North American Championship and the European Championship, where they're going to be held. They solidified the dates, which we pretty much already knew. There's some more information up on them. So that was kind of cool. So you got them roughly 3 weeks apart, which sucks for me because I want to go to both of them and judge. My goal is I want to judge the European Championship, because I tell you this, I love the European community so much. And this is not a knock on the North American community at all. I had such a fun time over there that I have to choose between Indy and Dortmund. And my choice is going to be Dortmund if I get accepted. I can't go to both because they're so close together and I just don't have enough time off from work. I will make that flight. That flight was horrible, but I will make that flight again, just to go back there.
The flight is the biggest thing that makes me not want to go.
Yeah, so it was great. But my goal all along and the reason that I started and the reason that I applied to go to Ghent was because I wanted to go to the European Championship and judge that. Not because it's in Disneyland Paris or anything like that. It's just that I judged the North American last year. I wanted to judge the European this year. And so it's just my own personal goals. And then kind of I did interact with a lot from their community at Milwaukee because there was a good contingent of European judges in Milwaukee. And I had fun working with them there, but now kind of them being the ones offering up the hospitality, it was really nice. It was neat to just interact with them, and the players themselves were very welcoming as well. So yeah, and then if you didn't see the promos, oh, there's Ray. He is in here. There's Ray from Switzerland. So yeah. By the way, like I said earlier, if you were at the DLC, you couldn't miss him. That bright red going around, it was pretty cool. So I found you, Ray.
Cool.
I found you.
Did a lot of people end up dressing up?
Guru said, off topic. I dig Jake's CRT. What's CRT? Andrew?
That's my TV that I have. It's an old school TV. I have a lot of very old
nice.
vintage video games.
I have an old analog TV, a tube TV that I keep just to hook up a Retro Pi to, so I can play old Nintendo 64 games and Nintendo games on the screens that they were created for. It's heavy as all can be, but
exactly.
Okay.
It looks much better.
So here's the promos.
Heavy.
So here's the promos that they announced for the European and the Nationals. We got Standout down in New Orleans, Tinkerbell, and the Headless Horseman. Now, I wanted to kind of pull the screen up when you were talking about promos earlier, Sabrina, but you have thoughts on these? Do they excite you?
No.
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't even try to hide my face.
Just being real. Just being real.
I think the tough part is they're not playable.
Which one of these are we playing? Thank you.
Some folks play Tinkerbell.
Horseman you're playing.
Hey, you don't know what's coming in the next sets that would make down in New Orleans and Tinkerbell even more clear.
Kelsey, I think
that's
the possibility. They're thinking into the future as well too, and they know stuff that we don't know. So I think that could be a good sign for this Tinkerbell might be like busted in a couple sets.
To play devil's advocate, while I agree that we don't know what's coming in the next couple sets, the developers have in fact known what's coming and have continued to release cards that we are still talking about banning. So like I don't necessarily think that they're thinking ahead as to what's actually going to be good in decks. I think that they've just devil's advocate.
They I don't know. Well, I don't know how much the developers interact with marketing and creative, right?
That's fair.
As far as the choice of the stuff. So
sides of the whole company.
So to be like honest about how I think about these cards, I think that Tinkerbell is beautiful.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I've ever said this. Tinkerbell is like one of my favorite characters.
Ooh.
So that's just a little bit of like a personal thing. I think the Horseman is okay. I think the artwork is a little bit dark. It doesn't give Disney vibes to me. The song is cool. I think the art is cool. I think I would have, I meant the Standout. But for both of them, I think I would have rather seen characters.
Yeah, I think people tend to like, especially when you pull an Enchanted and it's not a character, you're like, you know, I get it. So, yeah. Anyways,
I pulled an Ohana Meets Family, and that one was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, they look cool. Don't get me wrong. The artwork on them is always nice. Yeah, Tiana needed this artwork. Looks so good. Yeah, I think so. I think the artwork on them is amazing.
I do agree. I think that one's my favorite one.
Yeah. I don't know. We can't have all Elsa promos all the time. I mean, my daughter would disagree with that statement, but
your wallet would not like that.
By the way,
do you guys
speaking of, go ahead, Sabrina.
Go ahead. Does the coloring on the Tinkerbell card feel off? I feel like Tinkerbell is very vibrant, and the background just.
Maybe she's vibrant because she's against that background. Yeah.
Oh, that might be the case.
Yeah, she emanates light. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. That's true. But I mean, like, even her hair is like very yellow.
Yeah, it's a playable card. So.
I liked that card when it came out. I was high on that card.
So, what I was gonna say was, you mentioned wallet. So I've been trying to I collect the Enchanteds were frozen for my daughter, and there were 4 this set. I did not open
Yeah.
any of them.
Did we get any of them?
None of them.
Brutal.
However, when I was in Ghent, I bought Italian versions of 3 of them for a third of the price of the English versions. And all my
That's
daughter
a
cares
lot.
about is the
That's
artwork.
perfect.
So I did it. And I traded all of my other enchantments that I had for the iconic Mickey.
Oh, cool. All right.
Did you?
I did.
Wow.
I have it. I own it. It is a Japanese one, but I have it. So all I wanted is for the
At
artwork.
that point.
That card, I've always wanted that in the mini for personal reasons, because every time we have gone, I have been to Disney. It has been with my daughter, and so we have my wife and my daughter ride the carousel. It started when she was 4 months old in Disneyland Paris, and every trip we made, they ride the carousel, and I take pictures of her. And so there is a progression of her growing up on the carousel. And for those of you who know my daughter's name is Minnie as well. So it's like there's a Minnie card on a carousel. I got to have that for her. And then the Mickey just goes with it. So that, to me, I will never lose. I will never sell those cards.
That's so cute.
They're just for me. That's why I've always wanted them. It's why I want the mat. And yes, the foiling on that Japanese card, Rue, was freaking amazing compared to the English version of it.
Oh,
So,
good.
So yeah,
I've heard that the quality is like different.
Yeah.
In a
it
better
was.
way almost.
I got to look at them side by side to compare them, because I was like,
Yeah.
did I want to get up off of the extra money to get the English version? And I decided that no, the Japanese version actually looked better, and the quality of the card was better.
And it was less money, so
And it was less money.
win-win.
It was a whole lot less money. I got it for a third of the price of the English one.
A third.
So,
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep. So
Yeah,
that's-
Toby and I had picked some stuff up when we were in Bologna because the
Yep.
price difference was so
Yep.
dramatic.
so
And then we each ended up buying different language docs because we both found one that we liked the name of better. Like, I think it's in German, I think it's chef, and in, I think, Italian, it's Dotto. So we
Dotto.
each picked up a different set because we liked the name better.
that's cool. Okay, one last thing to talk about before because for those of you who know, we hit a hard stop. We had an hour. That's what makes us special. When we're going to come to an end tonight, right? Cheating, right? I am not going to say the player. Most folks are already aware of it. But we had an incident on camera at CCS with a player illegally playing a Demona. It is a player that has been known to, who has a bad reputation in other games. It is a player that was accused of doing bad things in Richmond. And I think you can look at that stream, and if you want to call that a misplay, you go right ahead, and you can speak out of ignorance. That's fine. But I'm just going to say that CCS was a Ravensburger sanctioned event, if I'm not correct. Was it a CCQ?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It
Okay.
wasn't Ravensburger.
Okay. It was not. Thank you, Deadpan. And she was there, so she would know.
Oh.
So, okay. All
I
right.
thought it
Well,
was my bad.
I will say this, right? If I Lorcana, Ravensburger, and the tournament, the organized play folks, please pay attention to this stuff. We, as a community, can speak out all we want about this, but we lack the power to do anything other than just speak out on social media or whatever. We need to be on our P's and Q's at all times for players. Just trust no one when you're playing this. I know it's bad, but you have to do it now. But when you see something like this and somebody has history, and we've been trying to talk, stuff can be done. The tournament organizers can ban a person from their events, but not all Lorcana events are run by the same tournament organizers. So I would say Ravensburger, in addition to a judge program, which I'm sorry, I didn't say that. A lore guide program. Okay. In addition to a
I like
lore
the name, by
guide
the way.
program, I corrected
I
myself.
like the name, but nobody is ever going to yell lore guide in the middle of a match.
Hey,
I'm gonna yell judge.
I
It's
needed a
shorter.
judge myself because I was dealing with something and a judge was being called and no judges were they seen it. And so I raised my hand and yelled at the top of my lungs at the kid, judge. So even I yelled out the wrong thing. So you know what? Rue, you got a point. However, Ravensburger is really talking to TOs about please get your lore guides and your people representing you to use the correct terminology. So, yeah,
I've been
Phil may
trying
have something to
myself
say.
even as well, but it is tough. Coming
Yeah,
from other games, I
yeah,
guess,
it's
too.
hard to break old habits, right? So,
Yeah, saying exerted and saying readying.
I didn't think I would
saying
ever stop saying that other word instead of exerted, but I do now. It took me 2 years.
No,
But
I
I am.
can't. You cannot teach this old dog.
No,
new tricks,
I've been doing it
apparently.
because I didn't play the other one for so long. It was like long. It was shorter than I've played Lorcana for at this point, so I feel like I've easily transitioned.
We use
Do you
Banish,
not
right?
play anymore?
Banished,
I do
Yeah.
use
and then
Banish. That's
I think
Yeah.
fair.
readying, and then I guess like set we don't really use as much yet, but
Yeah.
See, but
it
I
can.
find myself like when I do ready set draw, mentally I find myself saying the words that I would say in a different game.
Yeah. It's and
Untap,
while
I'll
you're
keep draw.
but it's also hard to break those habits when you're playing those other games at the same time or parallel.
Sure.
For me, I've ditched other games and I'm only playing Lorcana, so it would be easier for me to transition because I'm not using that terminology. In fact, I did play the game that shall not be named over the weekend with some friends, with my colleagues from the UK who brought some of their decks, and I was using the Lorcana terminology for it. so I have been converted for the
We'll
most
bring it
part.
in there instead of them
Yeah.
bringing it into our game.
Yeah. So, but easier for me because I hadn't been playing anything else for a while. But if you're still playing those other games, it's understandable why it's hard to just switch. So yeah, I would say for the organized tournament play, folks at Ravensburger, you guys have already mentioned that there is something coming along the lines for lore guides in a previous lorecast. I would say as part of your organized tournament play discussions, please figure out how to handle players that have been cheating in a consistent way, besides just kicking them out of the event they're in. So,
And I also think it's important to remind players, like, even when it's not something that I'm guilty of, even when it's not your turn, you need to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what the other player is doing and the way
watch
that
them
they
shuffle
are.
their cards.
Yeah, and the way that they
Telling
are
you, 'cause if you don't,
using their ink,
Yep.
and
Yes.
it's important to know when cards trigger.
And
Like,
I tell you what,
specifically cards that discount things.
the biggest tip I can give somebody is this. If a player is playing fast, ask them to slow down. Okay. You have every right to do that. And if they don't slow down and you say, hold on. What did you just do? Hold on. What did you just do? Hold on. What did you just do? Eventually they'll get tired of that and they will slow down. If they do a bunch of stuff and say, your go really fast, that's time for you to stop. Don't even reach for your card yet. Look at the board, process what they just did. And if you're uncertain about something, ask them to back up and to show you what they just did, because everybody, your opponent's supposed to be clear. You're supposed to be clear with one another with what you're doing. And if I have to come over as judge because somebody's playing too fast, I'm going to ask the person playing fast to slow down. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to watch them, and I'm going to be watching you the rest of the tournament too, because you are under suspicion as far as I'm concerned. Not that you're doing anything wrong, but you are laying the groundwork. Most of the people that cheat they do things so fast that other people they're not paying attention. It's create chaos in a way, and then distraction, and so it's just things you got to watch out for. Yep. Sleight of hand. So, all right. It's 8:00. I didn't do this. I got to do this. shout out to Craig at Matified and the folks at Matified. You know, hey, for 2 months, 3 months, I didn't talk about them. That now we're here. Those guys are still going strong. So, you know, those guys do great work. Go to matified.com, check out playmats. They've been expanding considerably. And I'm telling you to go there for Lorcana mats, but they got more than just that. So, anyways, any parting shots from you two before we go?
I'm excited to be back.
Yes,
too.
very excited to be back. Look forward to the future.
Yeah, there was so much I wanted to talk about tonight. Like the new set.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on the new set. And,
Definitely couldn't get it all in at once, I feel.
you know, at what point, and I'll ask this question before we part, is food for thought for us and even our viewers. At what point do we start talking about Infinity? Because the next DLCs that are on the map for North America
I'm
and
ready.
Dormant are Infinity. So
I am
I'll be
too.
You
way
know,
more excited to talk about Infinity than I am to talk about the
Yeah.
Iron Metal.
So
Really?
yeah, we got a new set, Infinity. Yuck, that's right. Hey, if you're gonna talk about it, that's what I'm talking about, Rue. It's like what, like we now have to balance it, right? People playing locally are probably gonna still just play core, you know, for the most part.
We have
But
2
the
formats now. We have to-
DLCs are gonna be Infinity. So now we got 2 formats, which is good. Infinity kind of sat on the back burner for a while. So yep. I'm glad that they're doing a DLC with Infinity because it's the whole game, right? So
Yeah.
Anyway.
Everyone had
Let's
so far.
can we need to pick up the next episode with this conversation because I also have thoughts.
all right, there we
All right,
go.
everyone get
Fact that they're
cooking your
doing it.
Infinity decks.
Sabrina's got thoughts. I'm excited. I am excited about
Alright.
that.
I
Getting
have
ready.
the brain.
Yep. So
very excited to be back.
for everybody that's listening, if you have not already subscribed to us, please do so. You know, not that it matters to us, but it's just nice to see the numbers. And get the word out, pass word around. We are the best podcast that nobody listens to. That's my tagline for our podcast. You'd be surprised at like people that tell me that they listen to us, but like the numbers just don't show it, but that's okay. They don't all listen at once. I appreciate everybody in chat for your participation. And
Thank you, guys.
2 followers to 120. Woo-wee, that's right.
Whoa.
So we're getting there. And we do have YouTube. We always, when we go live, we're recording and I upload the videos the next day so you can point your friends to YouTube. And I'll tell you this, over the break, we had talks and we're going to kind of, you know, we're going to do things more than just a live stream. We'll probably cut some videos here and there and just record them and put them up on YouTube. So you'll definitely want to go to our YouTube channel and check us out there. We do have a Discord server, although I have never put that out there to anybody. The time is coming pretty soon where if I knew what I was doing with Discord, it would have been up sooner. I'm just going to put it up and hope that somebody who knows what they're doing will do something with it. So, you know, but we do have one. And we have a Facebook page. Will we ever get on Instagram and X? Probably not, but you know, maybe, who knows?
Start here and we'll see.
So that's, you know, if somebody wants to help us out, then go for it. And I did order new stickers. However, they got messed up. So I got to send them back. We do have stickers for the podcast. If you ever see us, just ask for one. I gave all of them away, Sabrina, at Ghent. So, but I was
they got to you?
Yeah, I was very picky about who I gave them to since we were down to so few. So, all right.
Only the worthy.
Yeah,
We
only
could
the
give a
worthy,
few
right?
away in Disney.
Yeah.
We gave more than a few away. I handed Abby a stack.
Yeah,
So-
we distributed. But there were so many people playing Lorcana. How could we not?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tuesday nights, same time, same bat channel. You know where we're at, and we'll be here from now until we're not. So, thank you all for joining, and we'll talk to you all later.